don't talk to chatbots. That is one of my rules for how to interact with AI. But let me clarify. I'm not saying boycott the AI or something like that. I am not a Luddite. In fact, my goal is to get maximum benefit out of AI tools while also avoiding all the downsides. Imagine being early to the internet and understanding exactly how to position yourself to really benefit from what was about to happen, instead of becoming one of billions of internet users and social media users, which are basically just being exploited at the other end of a bunch of algorithms. That's what I'm after here. And right now, we're early to AI, and I believe the same pattern is going to play out. If you're just a user of these tools without being really deliberate about how you use them, you're likely to suffer. And we're actually already seeing that with the rise of AI psychosis and chatbots breaking up way too many relationships and stuff like that. So the way I see it, if you want to benefit, you have to have guardrails. This is one of the guardrails. Don't talk to chatbots. Let me be a bit more precise about that. What I really mean is, don't use chatbots in a conversational way. Here's how I discovered why this makes me more productive and why it's better for my overall mental health and life quality. So early on, like most people, I was using ChatGPT and just trying out what this thing can do. And I started thinking about, well, how can I get this to help me in my work? Now, I've been an educator for a long time, and I had an idea for a course, a program I wanted to develop. And I thought, hey, I'll get ChatGPT to help me develop this course faster and make it better. So I started recording voice notes where it was just like free flow, my ideas about what I want to put in this course, who it's for, kind of just stream of consciousness rambling, and then thinking, hey, I'll get the AI to, make sense of all this, put it into good structure, and help me refine this into a final high quality and also sellable product. I was using ChatGPT in a conversational way, like a brainstorming session with a business partner. But a business partner who's always online, who always instantly responds, and who even follows my specific custom instructions, and also who never gets tired of my rambling. Sounds like the perfect tool, right? And in the beginning, it really did feel like this was making me more productive. There I was just like rambling my voice notes, and it would turn it into like bullet points, and I thought, yes, this is going somewhere. But pretty soon I realized this isn't actually helpful. In fact, this is the opposite of helpful. This is making things worse rather than better. I had to take a step back and figure out, why is this? What's going wrong here? And what I realized is one really important key distinction. If I'm having a brainstorming session with a business partner, there is friction. There is push and pull. In fact, the best business partners are often the ones who are kind of hard to have these conversations with, because I'll be all excited about some new idea, but then the response I get is something like, that doesn't really make sense to me. How can we validate that people really want this? How will you differentiate this against the many competitors in this field? Is there a market for this? Is this a real problem people have, and are they willing to pay for a solution? The process of working through these ideas and getting it into a final form that actually becomes a good product that also has a chance to become a successful business is one of a lot of friction. It can be really exhausting and, like I said, unpleasant at times. But that is the pruning that is absolutely needed to turn a whole bunch of wild ideas into something that can actually function and actually serve people. And ChatGPT was doing none of that for me. Instead, it was constantly telling me that every single idea I have is brilliant, that everything needs to be added, and that my product was definitely going to change the world. And right there, that should have given me pause sooner, because it's like, hold on, I've just given you the first draft of a brain dump of some idea of a product, and you're telling me it's going to change the world? Like, this needs a lot of work before it has any chance to do anything like change the world. But instead of having more and more of a refined idea of what this product could look like, I just ended up having more and more of a mess, and a mess that, yes, ChatGPT could more or less competently summarize for me, but it was just getting me nowhere near a usable end result. But I did not let that stop me, because after all, you can do custom instructions, you can do prompt engineering, you can give better context, right? Well, in ChatGPT, I went through many iterations of trying to give this thing a system prompt that would have it stop agreeing with me all the time, that would have it give me actual critical feedback, that would tell me things like, hey, tell me if I'm like losing the plot here, if I'm drifting too far off course. And I even tried to use ChatGPT to design the system prompt, which it very enthusiastically does and says, yes, I'm going to treat you like a business partner. I'm going to be the co-CEO that pushes back against your ideas and so on. Then you put that in as a system prompt, and it does absolutely none of that. My experience with ChatGPT specifically was that it absolutely refuses to stop being a kiss ass. An ass kiss, an ass kisser, a boot licker, one of those things. You know what I mean, right? Now, this problem can partially be solved by using these tools in other contexts than the chatbot interface. And I have a different video about that I'll link to below. But the more important conclusion I came to here is that if there is something that I can have a conversation with another human being about, I will not have a conversation with a chatbot about that thing. And here's one way I've put that into practice for my business. I started a small men's group, just a few other entrepreneurial guys I respect. And that is where we talk about things like what we're working on in our business, and we get feedback and we get criticism. And this has been unbelievably helpful. That is 2 hours per week spent with real human beings, out of which I get mind-blowingly more benefit than hours and hours and hours going back and forth in ChatGPT. Why? It's exactly because of this friction I was talking about. These guys will actually push back. They will actually call me out on my bullshit. They will actually help me refine my ideas into something usable. Not to mention, this is also far more nourishing for the soul. I get real connection with real humans. We share laughs, we help each other out. It just feels great. And the same is true for loads of other stuff. I don't go to a chatbot for a relationship question. I ask whoever my friend is who loves talking about relationships the most. I found that going for the real life version of the conversation is always so much richer and so much more helpful. And yes, it's higher friction. It's not as instant because I have to reach out to someone and then we have to find the time to go for a coffee together or something, but it's always worth it. This is something I highly recommend you try out. In fact, I challenge you to do this for at least 1 week and see what happens. Whenever you're about to have an interaction with a chatbot that could be a conversation with a real human, reach out to a real human. To be clear, this still leaves a lot of other use cases for AI tools. I use AI tools all day long, just in different contexts. My favorite use cases are coding, research, and workflow automation. And see how all of those cases are nothing like the interaction with another human being. Developing an automation pipeline for your business is totally different from going, hey, here's the struggle I have in my relationship, what should I do? And it turns out that AI is way better at the workflow pipeline thing than at the relationship advice thing. I want to make one more note about the illusion of productivity or the illusion of usefulness, because regardless of what you ask one of these things to do, it will always give you an answer that kind of makes it seem like something useful is happening. This is, I think, the tricky part. If you are currently having these conversations with chatbots, it kind of feels generative. It feels like it's giving you useful advice. It feels like it can somehow help you be more strategic or hold you accountable to your goals or something like that. It's only once you compare what you get with the chatbot with what you can get in real life interactions with other humans that you realize how big that gap really is. I think this is especially tricky for entrepreneurs because the illusion of productivity that you can get with these tools is crazy, right? You can have them create all this stuff for you. You can have them create all your documents, and you can have them create your perfect business plan, and you can have them create all these artifacts and so on. Like, it feels productive, but how much of that stuff is actually useful? How much of it moves the needle? And this is where I found out that the 2 hours a week with the boys is so much more real productive than the felt productive of AI tools doing a whole bunch of stuff. All right, so that's one of my rules that I've been following lately that's helped me get way more productivity out of AI tools while also improving the quality of my life. Try it out for yourself and let me know how it goes. If you want to learn more of the rules that I have developed for benefiting maximally from AI tools without frying my brain, check out this video next. And if you enjoy my content, please leave a like, leave a comment, give it a little boost in the algorithm. It really helps.